What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Real Fanatics. I'm your host, Farhan, here again with my man Vito, and today we will be reviewing the pretty new Netflix film Rebel Ridge, aka Black Rambo. Um, I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna go a little bit deeper into my thoughts, obviously, as we go along, but I feel like this is a film that we've seen a lot of the tropes from here and other films prior to this one. Vito, I'll let you go ahead and give some of your initial thoughts. It's a little fresher in my head. I saw it more recently than you did, but I'll let you go ahead and
Okay.
because you said you had some thoughts. I'll let you go
Yeah,
ahead and
yeah, I
share
had some
those.
thoughts. And again, I'm real quick. These are the notes I took. I don't know if you can see that. Just real
You took the
quick
words out of my
notes.
mouth. Black
Real
Rambo for sure.
quick notes. You know, Rambo question mark.
Ain't no question
All
mark.
right.
This is
No, it is. I'm gonna come back to that part. Come back to that part.
okay.
Um, why the fuck was the chief such an asshole, man? Like,
It's
I get. They try to do small town.
uh
We fuck with the people that we know or we
yeah,
that we don't know.
yeah,
He not. Yeah, we not necessarily per se, but yeah, we kind of there.
yeah,
We
yeah,
right on the cusp of racism. All the people we pull over and in prison for longer than they should. Gonna be held for an astronomical amount of time. Are going to be black and brown.
yeah, yeah.
We're going to say it's drug related, no matter what it is. Even with his stuff, that's how that occurred. And again, I think this shows because I've said it before. I don't, I don't dislike police. Um, I have close friends that are police, but the
Uh-huh.
system of policing in America is a racist institution. It always has been, always will be. Let me not say always will be, because they are making changes in some parts, and it's not as quick as we would like it to be. It's not as quick as it should be,
Yeah, absolutely.
and you see that with Let me just give my quick thoughts before I start discussing the movie. um, when we finish this, I'm not gonna have a rating on it. I'm
Interesting. Okay.
I'm bouncing
Still,
back and forth
still weighing.
on how I feel about it. That's why I said I had thoughts about it, man, because I'm bouncing back and forth about how I feel about it.
Yeah.
My biggest gripe issue with every movie that has a black actor that plays a deep rooted black American, I'll say,
hmm
this motherfucker is British.
You trying to say they can't find no good actors here?
That's what they trying to say. They here. They're here. It's so many of them here. Um,
Aaron Pierce is really good, though. I will give him that. But
I
that
like him.
is
I like him as an actor, but
that's
the
a
thing
fair gripe because that happens a lot. It
now
happens a lot.
the thing is, they never really tell us where he's from in a
Yeah,
movie.
not a lot of backstory given on really
So
who he
so
is.
we're assuming that he is. We don't know. It's really, and I say that because when he's explaining, are we doing spoiler free spoilers?
Let's do spoiler free, just because
All right.
it hasn't been out on Netflix that long.
Okay. So that's gonna really bring back my the amount of stuff I can talk about, but that's cool. That's cool. I can work with it. Let me see. I know. So in the trailer, they do mention that he has a sum of money that was taken from him. They don't mention the sum of money, and I think it's one of the later. It's in one of the later trailers. They even mention what the money is for.
Mhm.
All
The
right.
synopsis of the film, like if you read the synopsis of the film, it tells you what the money is for. So
Okay.
that's not a spoiler.
Okay. So he gets the money to get his cousin out of jail, and there's a backstory to this that's not in the synopsis.
No, the reason why he needs to get his cousin out ASAP isn't in the synopsis, but
And I will say, I am going to spoil that part for people.
it's a small spoiler. It doesn't really have
Yeah.
any bearing on
So
the story for real.
you know, his cousin gets charged with a crime that's some bullshit. All right.
very,
but
very small, and he should
he
not be getting held for as long as he got held, like at all.
he shouldn't have been held at all. You
Yeah.
know. And when you watch the movie and they explain it, it makes more sense. I heard some people say it was a slow burn, and I don't think it was a slow burn. I think there were some slow parts in the movie. I think it took us a while to get to why in the movie.
Hmm.
But his cousin is jail, and for some reason they are moving all the prisoners to a state prison. Okay, and his cousin his cousin crossed some people. I'm gonna even try and not spoil that. His cousin crossed some people, and he mentions back east. All right,
Hmm.
this movie takes place in Louisiana. So when you say back east and you're in Louisiana, do you mean just east of Louisiana, or are you talking about the East Coast? And the reason British actors bother me is you almost always know they're British because they speak very slow.
Hmm.
Now, this works when you're having actors play roles um, of, and not even just black actors, white actors too. They have a lot of British actors playing, but it seems like it's more black British actors. When they have actors playing those slower speaking draws, so almost any southern state, it's easy for them because they can slow their speech down a lot slower than they would if they would play somebody from the let's just say Detroit, New York. They talk real slow like this.
Hmm.
All their words are enunciated, and you won't get that if you're speaking with somebody from New York. You're gonna get his fast speech. But the problem is there is no what's the word I'm looking for when somebody from Alabama speaks a certain way, or
The accent.
the accent. There's no accent in there. It's just the slow speech. Maybe
Yeah.
I didn't pick it up. Did
No,
you?
it's not just you. They really
Okay.
don't give any clear idea where he's from. Like the only backstory you get on him is his military background and that he's a silent badass. That's essentially
And
the
and
character prototype.
and even that, man, like um the reason and we can roll into your thoughts and your response to this when I say it.
Okay.
I see why they did what they did, because what they did, it still kind of falls under that propaganda shit. Um
Hmm.
Everybody in this movie was a piece of shit. When people have gripes about the police, it's they're granted, there is a smaller number of bad cops. But, there's a but there. The but is those good cops don't say shit. Those
Yeah.
good cops don't do anything. And that's what you've seen in this movie. You have to have a man, take on the entire fucking
Yeah.
police force of this small town.
Yeah. That's a very fair point you make, honestly, when it comes to this, because to your point, there are
Hold on.
some good.
Yeah, no, it was like very loud. I don't know. I think it was picking up from your mic and a
Yeah, something,
headset.
something weird just happened there, y'all. That's my bad. But what was I getting? Oh, the cops in this film, not all of them are necessarily bad people, and that's shown to you fairly early on. Like in his
Yeah.
Terry, the main character Terry Richmond, his first time going to the police station, you see like, okay, not all the cops in this precinct are terrible, but to your point, it takes the good ones a very, very, very long time before they go, oh, we kind of like not operating the way we should as a police department, and this is kind of effed up. Like for the vast majority of the film, they're just letting the BS slide.
Hmm.
And this film, it kind of right off the bat makes you hate the entire police.
Immediate.
Like first scene,
And you
opening
you know what?
scene.
I feel like you can say that one because that's in the fucking. Because I did want to talk about that.
That
I
is in
did.
the trailer. The
There
opening
wasn't
scene
a
when
lot of scenes that I was really like, damn, they did that well.
yeah.
But that opening scene and some of the fight scenes,
the fight scenes felt very realistic.
Yeah.
They felt very, very realistic. They felt very grounded. They felt very gritty. It didn't feel like, cartoonish. It definitely doesn't feel like, even though I called this Black Rambo,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of First Blood, there's a lot of inspiration taken from First Blood into this film. This film is a lot more grounded. There's not like he ain't crawling through the forest with bow and arrows and shit. Like this is, what I'm saying? He's very
Yeah.
grounded. He has a Marine background. He's very, very good in hand-to-hand combat, and the film plays more so to that aspect than doing all this over-the-top action that you see a lot of these types of films try to do. But like I said, the opening scene of this film immediately starts right off the bat, kind of shows you like, yeah, these officers are pieces of shit.
Yeah.
It wastes no time telling you that. Opening scene right off the bat, they pull the guy over. First, they knock him off his bike. They run him basically off his bike with the cop car. So that's the first thing they do. Then, go through the whole ordeal of, are you selling drugs or
before you even get there, they lie immediately. Hey, chasing the suspect.
Oh yeah,
got him.
Yeah, I got the suspect, been chasing him, yada yada. They made it seem like this dude has been like, evading, doing something crazy. Dude just riding his bike. He got headphones on. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't.
Which I did ask while watching it. Why? I don't care where you're at. Anywhere in America, riding a bicycle with headphones on is not smart. 2, as a black man in America,
in rural Louisiana,
rural fucking Louisiana, and it just was not smart. And then this motherfucker had wired headphones.
Yeah, I mean, but he also, there's a lot of other. That's not the weirdest thing he does.
It's not. It is. Like, it's not.
Because at first I was like, wired headphones. That's interesting. Like this movie takes
what
place
year
in 2024. Yeah, I was like, this movie takes place in 2024. Like wired headphones. And then I saw the other things he did later on in the film. I'm like, yeah, wired headphones is the most normal thing this nigga's done.
And I felt like they tried to do this thing where they wanted to have an unstable vet that was not unhinged.
Yeah,
because Rambo was fucking unhinged.
Yeah, Rambo's
okay. And granted, the people that did the shit that he did in Rambo, First Blood, I don't feel bad about it.
Yeah,
not at all. And I can't remember if they died in Rambo. I know he tried not to kill a lot of people, but did anybody die in First Blood? Somebody died, had to die.
There's a body count in that film. It has to be. It's been a long time since I've seen First Blood, but I mean, in this film, I definitely don't think Rambo went out of his way to try to spare a life in the same way that Terry Richmond did.
Yeah,
and this dude was doing like full blown like sit down talks. Like, hey, look, I can beat your ass. I really don't want to though, but I could beat your ass. So let's find a way to settle this where that doesn't have to happen. Like the they touch on this in the film, the de-escalation tactics that we beg for police officers to have in real life. Terry displayed that from the beginning of the film to the end.
The cop. Not the
one person,
the black guy.
The one person who's not a cop in this movie was trying to act more like how we want cops to act. And
2 people. He killed 2 people in First Blood.
Okay, I was like, there was a body count.
I'm about to say, I know he killed somebody, but I know he was trying not to. But he might have. The chief might have been the one. I'll find it and let you know.
Possibly. But even in this, like, it's very obvious, like where his stance is and his moral compass, and what he's willing to do and what he's willing not to do. And I thought that was a good way of like giving the character, something consistent and something that is beholden to him that the audience can identify with. Like, all right, this is the type of man he is. And he was very consistent with that throughout the film, from start to finish. One thing I will say, the Don Johnson who played the police chief, phenomenal performance. He was, in my opinion, like if you were going to be a piece of shit, he did that to a T.
But is he acting now? Because I know there's more than one, but also he was the police chief in Watchmen, the TV show. He was. You
trying to say he's doing this a little too well now?
He was a secret Klans member there, so
Yeah,
I don't know.
Don Johnson plays a racist a little too well. Like he's a little too convincing that you are a piece of shit.
And it,
We're a little too good at this, bro.
and
We're a
and
little too
in
good
this
at it.
one, you know, I don't. He wasn't. In Watchmen, you know, he was an undercover racist. He hated niggas,
Yeah.
but he didn't let niggas know he hated niggas.
Yeah.
And this one, again, he's an undercover racist, but he's an undercover racist in a way that he says, some of my best friends are black. I got
Yeah, it's
black
one of
police
them.
officers.
Yeah.
Because he has a
You can even see it in the way they treat the one black officer on the
yeah.
force. Like when
She's
Terry
the
talks
only
about
one
it,
that
like,
works.
hey, so they all got new Chargers, and you over here driving this messed up at
Oh, that's Crown Vic.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
and in one of the talks, like you said, he has so many de-escalation talks. And in one of the talks that he had with the he basically has a I'm the law, you know, and I don't like the way you talk to me, and that's why I did what I did now. And this is after he's already did, you know, a number of fucked up things.
Yeah.
A number of them.
Yeah.
You know, and again, it's something you see with officers in real life, you know. Yeah. You get pulled over and you're upset because you got pulled over. You can be upset. And they take that as disrespect to them. Like, and now it's, why you doing this? Why you know, why you trying to undermine their authority? You know, and it just wraps up the whole situation.
It's an ego thing.
This situation was already on 10.
From jump. It was on 10.
From jump.
Y'all took how much money from me?
You know, and like you said, like Farhan said, you know, he tried to de-escalate, he tried to make compromises, and they wouldn't even meet him. It's not even meet him in the middle. They
weren't
wouldn't
meeting him at all.
At all. You know, he was taking a loss, however it was going to be. And they just kept fucking it up. Like, at every step of the way, they kept doing things where something would happen and you would think, all right, this black man is not going to die. This black man is not going to die, or he's about to have to kill a lot of people.
Yeah. I was really wondering, like,
when he gonna kill somebody?
Compass, like his moral compass, I was like, how long are you gonna be able to keep that intact? Because these officers playing dirty and you not trying to get in the mud with them.
That's why I said, that puts you at disadvantage. They really tried to have again, because we outside of his military service, we don't know much. Like I said, we don't know much about him at all. We know
as a character. We know about his temperament and how he operates.
Yeah, and that's only because that's what we've seen. Because, like I said, and that's only because of what we've seen. We don't have any foundation because, like I said, he in the trailer he says, "Hey, before yesterday, I'd never been into a street fight." You know, so that could be a reason. But you know, the fact that he's still so willy-nilly fucking these people up, you know,
effortlessly.
Like, and that's, you know, you're fighting cops. You're not just fighting anybody. You're fighting police officers in a small town. You know, that's not something that somebody who's never been in a street fight does. Even with you being a Marine, and you know, he has, like I said, he has such a strong distaste to killing people, and I think,
which makes it interesting considering he was in the Marines.
Well, that's what they said was
they touch on that he was never very minor spoiler, but they do touch on the film that he wasn't in active combat.
Yeah,
but like Vito said, you would never know he's never been in a fight based on the way he's fucking these officers up in this movie.
And again, when you watch the movie, you're going to see things. And again, this is what I'm saying. They wanted a unhinged vet that was not unhinged. They didn't want him to have any mental health issues.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
They didn't want him. And again, maybe that's why he didn't kill people. But again, I'm not even gonna say what I was gonna say because people are gonna be like, yeah, that motherfucker crazy. You know, the shit that they did, man. I don't know a person alive that's gonna go through that and be like, I'm gonna worry about saving even the worst of the worst person.
Yeah.
And I will say, like I said, we talked about the opening. I know I'm jumping back a little bit. I like the opening shot, but it kind of just opened. You know?
There was no
And
like when I'm trying to tell y'all when I say the movie just starts like, hey y'all, hate these cops.
yeah,
Like
and
there is no lead up. There's like maybe a few seconds of opening credits, and then boom, getting knocked off your bike with two
but
officers harassing you. Like
in
it just
that same
opens and goes.
spirit, it ends the same way. You know,
Yeah.
it just ends.
Mm-hmm.
And it's right after obviously one of the big climax, because there are there are a few climaxes in there, but the big climax, obviously at the end of the movie, it's immediately after that the movie ends.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't see that. That's something you really don't see in movies anymore. There's a sit down. When you think about the Avengers, these motherfuckers went to go get Swarmer, and then
Yeah.
we watched them drive away from each other.
Mm-hmm.
you know so
Yeah.
it lets you know that there was some type of resolve at the end of this movie. There is a resolve, but again, with policing in this country, how is it going to work?
Because
Is it
this is one of the most like corrupt police departments I've ever seen on screen. Like
and the
just blatantly corrupt. Like they're
and
not
the
even.
reason they were corrupt didn't even make fucking sense.
Yeah, without spoiling anything, it was a very flimsy. Just because it's only because they gave us virtually no information on it. Like
Yeah,
you really couldn't even spoil what the reason is because like the film doesn't even really give you a clear idea. They
it's
just
t- it's
vaguely tell you.
it's a very
It's very
terrible
vague.
reason.
It's very
Um,
vague, and I feel like they did that on purpose. Like
see,
I feel
so
like they purposely made it very vague what the reason was because it's like we don't want y'all to focus on why they're corrupt. Just they're corrupt, and this is the story we're trying to push. I feel like the director was very focused on trying to showcase the different levels of police corruption that can exist and how officers can abuse their power, as opposed to like having you focus on how we got here or why they're corrupt, or it's like I have to give a reason because we're making a movie and I need to explain how we got here.
see, but
But
that's one of
I
my
don't want that to be the
issues.
focus.
That's one of my issues with the movie.
Hmm.
Again, so he does do that where he says, the different ways, because a lot of those cops are corrupt through inaction,
Yeah.
where they'll watch something happen
Hmm.
and they're not going to anybody. They're not telling anybody. And
Yeah.
honestly, a call to one fucking state trooper, one fucking federal agent, one fucking national newspaper would have stopped all of that shit.
Yeah.
And again, it turns into a whole. They mention it honestly. They get there's a what's it called when they mention it, but they don't mention it at the beginning, and then it happens towards the end.
What, foreshadowing?
Yeah, they foreshadow it at the beginning of the movie by saying what's going on in the city and what's going on with the police chief. And
Okay. Yeah. I didn't even catch that.
yeah, so when they after they do that, again, like maybe 50 minutes of fucking 50, 60, however long the movie is.
Yeah.
I want to say if the
It's like two
movie's
hours.
it's like 2 hours, so
Yeah. A
maybe an
little over two
hour
hours.
into the film, they get down into the nitty gritty of like why they're doing what they're doing.
A lot happens in that first hour, I would say.
A lot happens in the
There's a
first hour.
lot. Like I remember watching this and I like, clicked the little timer on
You
Netflix.
see
I'm
what
like,
the
we're only an hour in. Bro, like so much happened in this
a
1 hour.
lot happened in that first hour of the film, and none of it had to do with the why of them. And again, to be honest with you, I'm going back and forth with it because his main why for being there wasn't to expose police corruption.
He was just trying to help his cousin
And
out.
he's trying to help, and he says that throughout the movie. So that's the only thing that's pushing me back up to I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But it's still, even when he does make that police corruption his final thing, his when that's his goal to expose that police corruption, it's still not really explained. It's
Yeah,
kind
it
of
was, and
it's
even
bits
like the
here and bits
reason to, yeah,
there.
yeah, the reason to kind of get him focused on them is like there's a few things that go into it. I don't think it was like one sole thing that made him
It
go
was
like,
that fucking white woman.
Well,
and that's I'm leaving it at that. I ain't gonna spoil it.
It was her. She set it up for it to happen. I'll say
she
that.
Set it up for it to happen.
Because he was good. He was good, and then she does something, and it's like, damn, now he got to get back into it. So it is kind of her.
And honestly, let's not blame. I don't want to blame it on the white woman. I do want to blame it
all
on
her, but she had a big hand in why he ended up making them his big priority.
Something happened to her.
Yes, something happened to her. And she didn't just go like, "Hey, come get this
nigga." Yeah,
she was crying for help, and he came down her. But I think that the way they progressed from, like you said, his cousin being the top priority to then eventually going to now this overly corrupt police department. Now I need to take them down. I feel like there was in my opinion, watching the film, there was a natural progression from his character to get to that point. It wasn't like a sudden shift, right? Like, I feel like the writing was executed well in that sense. It wasn't like he was midway through the movie like, fuck my cousin. He had 12. These officers got to go. Like, he was committed to that mission of his cousin for the longest, until it was like, I have to. This is a bigger threat now. Like, there's a certain point where the film kind of forces him through the writing to go like, all right, I have to pivot here.
Because even with the police corruption, he didn't want to deal with it. He's like, you know what? Excuse me. He's like, I'm good. Again, that what I said earlier.
He even tried to make a deal with them after they stole his money.
Like, this black man is going to live. Yeah. He said, fuck it. I'm good. Yeah. And something happened. He came back. And then they wouldn't let him leave.
Yeah.
Because it was again, like you said,
ego thing.
That ego thing. They said, I told you this.
Yeah.
You better follow this. And he didn't.
That was the arrogance of the cops in this movie. I feel like was one of the biggest things they also showed, and the pride and the the ability to abuse power so easily. But even in this film, there's a certain scene, and you're gonna laugh as soon as I say it, where he shows up to the police precinct. And this is before the police officers know who they're dealing with. They just think he's some regular dude who came from out of town. They don't know who this dude is. All they know is they done took his money, and he's probably coming back to get it, right? So this is the scene. I think it's like the second time. One of the times he returns to the police precinct in the film. And, the black officer is on the computer. They're trying to figure out who this dude is. And then they figure out who that dude is and what his skill set is.
This is in the in one of the trailers.
Yes.
Not the whole thing, but the beginning of it.
Yeah, they figure out who old dude is, and they're like, oh no, we ain't dealing with a regular person here. This is a very trained fighter. It's not somebody we should be messing with. And even you see the response from the officers change a little bit, because they start to operate with a little bit more care and respect, and because they realize how big of a threat he is now. But there's still that level of like, boy, you better listen to me, or you got to fall in line. Like, there's still that level of them trying to like son him or little bro him, or, what I'm saying, making sure he feels subservient to them in some shape or form. There's always that power dynamic they're still trying to maintain, throughout their interactions, despite the fact they understand how big of a threat he is now. That was something that kind of stuck out to me throughout the film, as I was just paying attention to the temperament of the officers and how it changed once they realized how big of a threat he is. Like, they showed him that respect of, oh, okay, we actually, like, we really couldn't fuck with you if we wanted to. But, like, even with that knowledge, I'm still going to act as if I have dominance over you because I have this badge on and you don't. I'm not going to treat you with the respect that I should. I'm not going to, I respect your skills. I'm going to treat you like a threat. I'm going to make sure I take a few steps back. I'm going to have an officer with his gun drawn on you. Like, we're going to treat you like the threat that you are, but we're not going to respect you as a person. We're not going to give you that respect as a human. We're going to demean you. We're going to insult you. We're going to gaslight you. We're going to do all the things that this corrupt police station, you see them display throughout the film. And that, that behavior is not just going to change just because, you served in the military.
And it's weird because, they make mention to, different things about the military in there. The officers do. Yeah. So then, like you said, to turn around and show them the same disrespect. And again, it can only come back to one thing. He's black.
Yeah. That's the only difference.
I don't care that this nigga served, Yeah. What the fuck that mean to me? Okay, I could have served too.
Yeah.
but That scene, that was probably one of my favorite scenes.
That's the best scene in
Um,
the movie.
I can't remember if that was one of the better fight scenes that I
That's
liked.
the fight scene when I was
Um,
like, "Oh, this is very grounded, very real action. Like, there's no
yeah,
over the top,
because
nothing. Like,
they
this
say in
feels like
there,
it feels like I'm watching a real fight."
yeah, they say in there like he's again, he does McMap, and they explain what McMap is, Marine Corps Martial Arts Program, and he's an instructor.
Hmm.
He trains the trainers. They train people, and
Hmm.
again, this is something they mentioned in the trailer. He's on the Wikipedia page,
Yeah, once they
training a
saw that,
bunch
they're
of
like, "He on the
Marines.
Wikipedia page." That
Because
sheriff was like, "Huh? Hold on, let me take a few
because
steps back."
he's also a black belt in jujitsu, like
Hmm.
6th degree or some shit. I can't remember,
Yeah, he
but
showcased all them skills.
but
He showcased all
he
them skills
he's using jujitsu and that stuff, and
Yeah,
he's not a small guy,
at all.
so you see him tossing people around effortlessly, and you be
Taking
like,
niggas to Suplex
fuck.
City
So, and that's the thing. I'm like, again, it's an ego thing because again, if you beat my ass two
that
or three
badly though.
times,
That
I'm not
bad.
going to keep fucking with
You
you.
feel
I mean,
me?
and you gave me an out. I'm gonna take the out. I don't care what type of power I have.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take that L. I'm gonna
I'm
leave it
just be like,
alone.
hey, get that boy his money back.
Get that man his money back
Get
because
that man his money back. Because it's not worth it. And ultimately, it didn't end up being worth the trouble given how the rest of the film went.
yeah,
It's not worth the trouble you're going to have to go through to fight him, given the level of corruption you're trying to maintain and hide. You have to understand how big of a threat he is to that. Just get that man his money back, let him go. That's what I'm saying. The arrogance and the ego of the officers in this film was ultimately their undoing. It's eventually what led to their downfall because they kept trying to think that I just because I have this badge on, I can continue to be corrupt and continue to push this man's buttons
mm-hmm.
as if he's not a legitimate threat to not just us physically, but he's a threat to take down this level of corruption we've created. Like he can actually take our operation down
And
if
that's
he.
another. They weren't. It's levels to corruption.
Oh,
Like I
they
said,
was deep in it. They
when
was
well,
deep.
they wasn't as deep as they could have been. They could have been deeper, and I'm
Okay.
gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Because the way he went out of his way not to kill them, nobody really tried to kill him, and
They did one time.
you see what happened.
Yeah, I mean, they did. They did try.
Technically, it was twice,
Yeah.
but it was towards the end of the movie,
Yeah.
and that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you would have fucking just off this motherfucker at the beginning of the movie, not like at the beginning when they started, but
Oh,
as
I
when
mean,
you
they're
after you,
liable to do that too.
after you had him in a position to
Yeah.
after he's fucked you up 2 or 3 times, and now you got him in a
Yeah.
position to where you
Yeah.
can eliminate him, you don't take it, and that's what I mean. Where they're not as corrupt as they could have
Yeah.
been,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
again, when you look at the history of policing and you look at some of the corruption, I mean, shit that's playing out in the news now, where officers are murdering people because they have the authority to do so, and they look for any opening to do it.
Yeah.
They would have been well within their rights. They had
Yeah.
witnesses to these things. Like that motherfucker's unstoppable. He beat
Yeah. I was about to
he
say,
fucked
like,
us
if
up.
he showed up to your precinct and beat your ass, like you have in terms of the letter of the law, his reasoning for doing that doesn't matter at that point. You have, like you said, there were witnesses there that weren't police. So like they could have offed him at several points
But
throughout this film if they truly wanted to. That is a
and
fair
they
point.
were but again, that just speaks to, I mean, and I'm saying
Prior
like
to
they,
them actually trying to off him.
yeah, and I'm saying like they're not as dirty as they could have been because they didn't kill him, but also it just shows how dirty they was because you know, you kill a man, that invites, especially with everything that was going
That
on
invites oversight and people looking into your
with
business,
with
and they don't want
everything that was
that.
going on with that town, it
Yeah,
invites people into your business, and they
yeah.
didn't want people looking at them.
Hmm. They were trying to
It,
stay as low key and under the radar as possible. You saw it through the way they operated in this film. There's a lot of, and like even, I'm not going to spoil the scene, but there's a scene where one of the officers is interacting with Terry, and he noticed something that the officer didn't do. You might know the scene I'm
oh
talking
yeah, yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
noticed something the officer didn't do. He's like, "Why did you do that?" He was like, "Oh, if I do that, the body cam comes on." You know what I'm saying? Like, there's several things throughout this film that I love the attention to detail that was in the writing in this film because on both sides, from the officer side and from Terry's side, Terry is very calculated. Everything is planned, everything
Very.
is thought out. He is very meticulous and very calculated in every action he makes in this film. And on the other hand, the officers are as well, to a point. There's a point where they start to unravel, but to a point, the officers are very much to a T with how they operate within this corrupt system they've made. And it's very like clockwork. It just operates the way it's supposed to. They all understand what to do, what not to do, what things might invite attention, what things to do to try to get around attention and oversight, what things to do to make the judge feel good. Like they have a very calculated system put in place. And I think once they interact with Terry and realize they've kind of met their match, like, oh, he might he might be a little more calculated than we are. That's
Oh,
when the ego thing starts to kind of to get into play, and that's when you start seeing some of the things you see later on in the film.
and what you just said reminded me. It's not just the police corruption.
Oh,
It's
it's not.
it's the entire their entire little shitty fucking
Yeah,
town.
the focus is
Every
on the police, but it's
Yeah, but
everybody.
from the city clerk to the judge that's in the municipality, um, it's very fucking racist.
Yeah.
And I don't. I meant to look up how parishes work, and that's the thing that fucks with me about America, man. Even in Michigan, we have cities, towns,
Mm-hmm.
townships, charterships.
Mm-hmm.
We got all these fucking things. Then you go to Louisiana, they got cities, parishes,
Mm-hmm.
towns, counties,
Mm-hmm.
and that I didn't understand how that worked. I didn't understand if they were a parish or a town.
Yeah.
Um, they had a sheriff, so sheriffs generally operate within the county,
Yeah.
but they were not county officers. So it's I'll figure it out. That's a me thing. But everybody that was in power was, like I said, the judge. The judge knew about what was going on.
It
He was
wasn't like everyone
cool.
was actively participating in the corruption, but it was like you said, people knew about it and were just doing nothing.
They didn't all they benefited in it.
They some and some yeah,
And
they
you know
benefited
what?
from
No,
it as
I'm gonna
well.
say the judge. You're a judge. There's so much shit that a judge can do to I don't want to say uh overstep, because it wouldn't have been overstepping if he would have did what he did.
Mm-hmm.
If he would have let somebody out of jail, it wouldn't have been overstepping. Um, for you to call a case early is not overstepping. That's well within your rights as a judge.
Mm-hmm.
And and again, I don't know what their fucking small town system is like. The only thing they do mention one thing about their small town and their court systems, and I think, small spoiler, they don't have public defenders. So
Mm-hmm.
if it's really you go on a trial, it's gonna get kicked out to somewhere else.
Yeah.
All right. And again, when you watch this fucking movie, let me just say I did like the movie, because it sounds like I'm going towards I didn't like the movie. I liked the movie. I did enjoy the movie. Um, I didn't like that he didn't off anybody. Um,
It fit with his character. I was cool with it.
it did, but also, they added some shit. Obviously all movies do it. They added some shit in there for comical value that was kind of just placed in there. Like I said, we said they don't really say what anything much about his background outside of he was in the military. He was an
Mm-hmm.
instructor for McMap Jiu-Jitsu. He knew Jiu-Jitsu. Um, he has a connection to someone else where he got it. That's where he got the money from to get his
Mm-hmm.
cousin out of jail.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but again, one of the things I was so fucking confused on was why when I take a check, this motherfucker just, again, period, as anybody riding around with
With
that
that
much
much
money
cash is
is not
crazy.
smart. He could have been robbed. or he was robbed, but he got robbed by somebody he wasn't going to get it back from.
Yeah, I was
He
about to say,
wasn't
at
going to
least the
take these
police, you can
actions
try
from.
to get it back. If it was
He could,
somebody regular in that little Hickville town, you would have been
and
cooked.
not even from that town, because apparently where he was from was not too far.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just wild. And as a black man, you carrying around that much fucking cash. Go get a fucking money order. Go write a fucking check. Where's your
Yeah,
bank
like
account? You know, there's
what's
so many.
crazy, it was maddening, is they brought up money orders after he got robbed.
Yeah, they brought
I
up
was
money
like, bro,
orders.
like why are you carrying around that much cash
Is there a Western Union there?
anywhere, like just anywhere? Forget the fact that you are black riding a bicycle with headphones on through rural Louisiana. Why are you just carrying that much cash anywhere? That's just not, and it's frustrating. That's probably the only thing script wise that I would say was a hole in this movie. Only because after that, the film goes out of its way to display how thoughtful he is and how calculate.
Yes,
Like he
yes.
plans everything out. He thinks everything out. Everything he does has a purpose. He's quick on his feet. You know what I'm saying? And obviously very intelligent, given he was a Marine Corps instructor. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying I'm saying intelligent enough to know not to do that.
That
Like the
motherfucker was
film.
probably eating crayons out there.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at this point based on his decision making to start the movie. That would be the only thing I would say plot wise or script wise that I thought was like, if I were to poke any holes in this script, that would be it. But other than that, I thought you did a good job of, setting up every character, making each character interesting. Because Aaron Pierre's character is not the only character that I thought, shined in this movie a little
You know
bit.
what? Before you get onto these characters, I want to say you brought up a great point.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Starting off the movie, he was dumb as fucking rocks by doing just the stuff that he did. And I do want to say, are we victim blaming? Yes.
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 Because what
I want
happened
to
to him
look at
shouldn't
you
have happened to
and
him.
say yes.
Yes, we are.
And I don't really consider it victim blaming, but in the world that we live in, there are certain things that you cannot do that you shouldn't do. It's not wise if you do it. As
it's
a
not really
black
victim blaming. It's just like telling people make better choices.
I'm not about to run out in the middle of a large street waving my gun around, popping shots in the air. I'm going to get murdered by the police, and it's going to be justified. But your point that I want to make was, and like I say, he's probably eating crayons and shit before he, and they do say this about Marines. They are dumb. People they are dumb individuals. I can say this.
You would
they're
know.
dumb.
You've interacted with more than I have.
But they are dumb until they are dumb until, and that's exactly what you're saying. He was dumb until he didn't have to be dumb.
Yeah.
And he flipped that switch. It would have been, and this is just to commend how they wrote his restraint. It would have been so easy for him to kill any of them at any moment in time. So
easy.
When he originally went to the police station and got into that initial fight, he probably could have killed those officers, and he probably could have got away with that and been on his way. And he could have flipped that however, But yeah, they're dumb until, and that until is when they have to fight. And again, that's when he was his smartest, when he was fighting them. And again, some of this shit he didn't go into it with the plan.
Mm-hmm.
The scene that we seen in the trailer when they tell him, hey, sheriff, or chief, take a few steps back. He takes a few steps back. He's walking with them.
Yeah.
Like that was some intimidating shit, And then he pulls the gun out. He grabs the gun.
He was playing mind games with them the whole time.
Now, some more shit happens after that. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's maybe something you do want to do in a fight is make space.
Yeah.
And that's you don't want to give them the opening to do what they want to do. You want to make that. You want to make that move. And he wasn't letting them do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that walk down, the constant eye contact on him. Again, he didn't plan that fight out. He just wanted to talk. and the sequence that happened after that, even though he didn't plan on a fight happening then and there, he technically he was already planning. He was noticing things, and he put that plan together when he got into the situations that he got into. But he did have plans for some other things.
Yeah.
And what you were saying, he wasn't the. You know what? Nope. I got another gripe with it.
You got another gripe? Okay.
You know what that's for?
Yeah.
4 fucking black people in this movie.
4. Hold on. 1, 2, 3. I'm thinking of 3 off the top of my head. I'm trying to think.
The guy he bought the truck from.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. Yes.
It's
yes.
4 fucking black people in this movie. So again, you got a black cast, or I'm sorry, black main actor.
I was about to say you have a black main character, and then you have 3 other black characters that
3 other black characters, very sporadically. What was her name? Jessie.
Are you talking about his cousin? Or...
No, the
female officer. I believe that sounds about right.
Jessie,
something with
something
a J.
like that.
It was something with a J.
She probably had the most screen. She was the second black person with the most screen time.
Yeah, behind Terry Richmond. Yeah,
behind him.
Jessica, that was her name.
Jessica. Yeah. And and again, it's bothersome again. Because why is there only 4 of them?
Yeah, I mean, but this is a small. You got to keep in mind, it's a small town. I really wasn't expecting there to be. When I saw her at the precinct, I was surprised because
it's a small town.
It's a small town in rural Louisiana. He's probably the only black person in the whole town. That's why when I saw her,
well, she lives there.
Yeah, when I saw the female officer, I was like, "Oh wow, I didn't know there was going to be more of us."
It has to be more black officers. Black people.
I was about to say the way they treat her, I don't think they want any more
because
black
she's
officers.
there. Because that's not something where she was already a cop somewhere and she's like, you know what, I want to take it slow. I'm gonna go move to Louisiana. No.
Yeah.
Now that she grew up there, she had roots there.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe it was a Mexican in there, a Hawaiian, the security guard at the courthouse.
He was something. I don't think he was white. He was
ethnic.
He was ethnic. He's ethnically ambiguous.
He was not Caucasian.
He was racially ambiguous, but he was not Caucasian. Yes.
And then I'm gonna let you, because I'm gonna let you get into it. What you're going to say, because I think the only other person that had a anything memorable to say and do was Don Johnson.
Don Johnson, yes, as the sheriff. But I also want to give Anna Sophia Robb her credit as well. The girl who played Summer. His assistant that was helping him out.
Oh, the white woman.
Yeah.
That's all you had to say?
Yeah.
Because as much as there weren't any other black people, there was only really one white woman in the movie.
Yeah, she was really the only other character that really had any backstory or that the film focused on in any capacity. And her story got very tragic very quick.
It got dark.
Like, it got dark so fast. Like,
it got so fucking dark.
They introduced her as like, she's going to be kind of like his legal assistant, helping him through the process. Cool. I like this dynamic. This works. And then, boy, they said, you know what? We need to give her a little more character development. And boy,
when they did what they did,
when I said that a lot happened in an hour?
I said, what the fuck did they just do? I said, she found that. What the fuck just happened?
Bro, but by the time, because the way, I'm not going to say there's a scene that happens in this movie. We're not going to spoil it because we want you to have the same realization that we had.
Yeah, that was wild. That was wild.
But there's a scene where the camera focuses just on a particular object. You like, the fuck? Why is that empty? What is that?
What is it? Like, what the fuck is that?
What is that? And then once they start showing you the hints and you realize what's going on, you like, no, she is officially the most tragic character. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn what Aaron Pierce is going through. Her story is effed up.
Cause she and what not only and then
her story
that
is
happened.
She gets done so bold.
And you know what?
She gets done so bold, bro.
Please remind. I'm gonna write it down right now because I said this when she did it, and I said, why the fuck would you do that? Like, knowing what just happened, why the fuck would you do that? Are you fucking stupid?
Nah, man, I had to give her character a shout out because I wasn't expecting that much from her character, so it kind of took me by surprise a little bit. I was just like, okay, she's basically his glorified sidekick. He's gonna be the muscle, he's Rambo, and she's his legal assistant, helping him fight the police from a legal standpoint, since he don't want to kill them. You know, he's trying to fight them the right way, so she's his assistant legally to help him do that. Boom. I was
I,
not expecting her story to progress to the level that it did, and it progressed quickly. Like I said,
very
like
very so, and I
we
do.
were
That's
only
what I
like
want
about
to
an
point
hour
out.
into the movie by the time you realize, like, oh no, she's messed up. Like her life is not good at all.
Excuse me. And again, so while he has all this going on, and she's brought to light of some of these things. She's running a concurrent story with him.
Hmm.
It's not showing as much as what she's doing and everything like that, but like something to be mentioned, and you're like, oh, she did this, oh, she did
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And it's like she's if the movie was about a white woman trying to stop the system, it would have focused on her, and it would have had obviously she wouldn't have been beating people up, but um it would have been some shit going on in there
Hmm.
that it would have been probably interesting thriller, some shit that should have been done in the 90s that would have
Hmm.
got an Emmy nominated or some bullshit
Some
like that.
Silence of
Cause
the Lamb type shit.
no, what's Aaron Brockovich being Aaron Brockovich?
Oh, okay.
Some shit where some
Being
white
John
woman,
Malkovich.
yeah, that shit.
Yeah,
Some shit
yeah,
where a white woman then did something to help somebody and she's a hero now
yeah.
after hey, shut the fuck up. Um I
She was
did
cool though. I liked her in this
she
movie
was all
though.
right, man. I did
She
love
was
that
good.
they didn't, because again, it was starting to look that way that there was not any romance in this movie. One thing I hate, one thing I hate, and don't get me wrong, I love love. I
Hmm.
want to love being in love, but there's a time and a place,
It
and
doesn't need to be in every film. I
it
agree.
doesn't. Action movies, fucking Queen and Slim. That shit in Queen and Slim, where they fucked at the cemetery, made no fucking sense. When they was just at a house the night before, you could have fucked then. You wait till you go see your dead mama and you fuck on the side of the road in the open. You're running from the fucking police.
I was gonna rebuttal your point, but then you just mentioned the house, so now you got me. Because I was about to say it makes sense if they would like they was already on a date when they got into the shit. It ain't
And they
like
hated each other. They hated each other. They trauma bonded.
they trauma. That's the purest form of trauma bonding.
And again, dude,
That's trauma bonding in its rawest form.
it's just there's a time and a place. And if I'm running from the police, and we had we almost got caught. Maybe fucking right here is not the
Not the
the best
smartest thing.
idea. We
Yeah.
almost, because they were not out of New Orleans. Oh shit! Didn't even they was in Louisiana again.
There you go.
But
Something about the Louisiana cops,
no, because
boy.
they made it to Louisiana from wherever they was from though.
I don't remember where that film is. I don't remember the initial place.
I want to
that
say
film
they
took
was in
place where,
like
the incident happened.
Minneapolis or some shit like that. But yeah, but you barely missed the police,
Mhm.
and you decide my mom died right here. It's a road right there. There's a car. Why not?
Just get it in.
Yeah, it was just it's a dumb thing. It's a dumb thing to do in movies. It doesn't always need, even if there's sexual tension between characters, they always fuck at the worst possible times.
Yeah.
And it's like if you watch a zombie movie, they're like, oh god, we finally got some time to rest. Even though it's only me and you here, there wasn't anyone here when we got here. Why not? Let's fuck. And as soon as they finish, zombies come bursting through the door,
Hmm.
or some other humans that don't fuck with people come busting through the door. And
Hmm.
it's never like, how about you rest when you get around somewhere safe? How about you make sure that the place you fucking at is
It's
safe?
secure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I will say I do agree though. I'm glad that there wasn't any like romance thing. I don't To be honest, there was really no place in this movie for that. Like I don't see where
they
you fit that in
they would
given
find a place.
like just given
Like
the
the
flow of this
cemetery.
movie and how it was going, but the thing is, even though with Queen and Slim, right, like even though where they did it and all that might not have been a smart decision, them getting to that point in their relationship based on what we had seen in that movie made sense, right? Like in this movie, I literally script wise, story wise, I don't even see where you fit that into this movie.
So that's just the
Like,
first example that came to mind because it always pisses me off.
oh, there's
But
plenty of
you
other
know, yeah, and
examples.
you know,
Yes,
and again,
there's several other examples,
and
but
it never makes sense.
in this, it just felt like the way this, like I said, a lot happened in just the first hour.
I
Like
will.
this movie's pace is very fast. This
It is.
movie is not. This is
Well,
a
that's why
very
I said
fast paced
it's
movie.
and it's a break in it. It's
Yeah.
fast paced. It's a break, and
And
then
then
it
it picks right back
slowly.
up.
I don't even want to say it. I don't think it picks up, but it kind of ramps up then.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if I could definitely put put scenes,
yeah.
a romantic scene in there in about maybe 3 places that I counted,
Hmm.
maybe 3.
If you really wanted to, you could, but based on where the story was going and the
But
dynamic,
that
especially
that
between Terry and Summer, like that to me, that wouldn't have worked.
that's what I'm saying. It almost
Yeah,
never works, and they still do it.
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
why I'm like, I'm glad that
That they
they
didn't.
didn't, because
Yeah,
again, it always and I'm sorry, that's what I should have said. It always feels forced.
yeah,
It almost should never have happened,
yeah.
and I'm glad they didn't do it because again, it throws off it throws off the feel of the movie.
Hmm.
So when you, like I said, you have it in here and the feel stays the same.
Yeah, yeah. I will say that I'm with you. I'm glad they didn't touch on that. I'm glad they kept their relationship what it was. It was more, like it was like a trauma bonding friendship almost.
Yeah,
like
friendship.
like it started off as like I feel like her kind of taking pity on him of like, oh, this poor dude and came in from out of town and I know how the police officers here are, so let me try and catch him a break. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how the relationship started, and then eventually progressed into like, oh hey, so remember when I helped you out with them police officers? Yeah, well they trying to fuck with me now too. So
Yeah,
like, can we like just help each other out here? Like you make sure they don't kill me, and I try to help you legally, get the shit with your cousin straight. And then it became like a mutually beneficial relationship at that point.
yeah,
And I thought her performance was very good. I thought the scenes, of her kind of reconnecting with her past. They don't beat you over the head with it. It's very subtle, but there's
yeah.
scenes where you
Very.
kind of see like the turmoil and all the shit she's going through because she is a very. I did not realize
Because
like
she mentions it at the beginning. She's like, "Yo, I can't do this because of this. I can't do
yeah.
X because of Y."
Yeah.
And then you
Or
like,
even
okay, that makes sense.
there's a smaller piece of dialogue in there when she even agrees to help Terry in the first place.
Yeah,
Because he's like, I appreciate you. She's like, I appreciate your appreciation. I think he asked her directly, like, why are you helping me?
I know how it feels for.
She's like, I know
Well, I
how
ain't
it
gonna.
feels.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
She's like, I know how
So
it feels.
like it's shit getting thrown out there. They foreshadow it a lot, but
Yeah.
you're not expecting it because again, that's something that they do purposely. They want to
Yeah.
throw you off. They don't
Because
want you to expect this.
they
And
got me.
listen,
They got me. I
even
did not see
even
that coming.
even after he got there, I'm still like,
Like, what the fuck did
and
I just
and I'm gonna tell you what I thought was inside of, it. And I was like, why would they do that? How did they get that? But again, that just shows how dirty they was again. Because
Yeah,
again,
they
how
was
did you
them
get that?
them them cops did not care. They was moving. They was playing by a whole different set of rules. Whole different set of rules. There was. Honestly, I don't even think the police chief was the worst one. I don't think the sheriff was the worst one.
No, he wasn't. It was
It was,
the two
I don't.
guys at the beginning.
Not even because one of the guys. So one of the officers, played by Emery Cohen, Officer Steve Land.
That's the one
He's
he.
the worst one. And then there's an officer played by David Denman, Officer Evan Marston. He's the
That's the
one that's
one
a
he tried
little
to help at the end. But
yeah, that's the one
so
that's a little
so
better.
again, when
But
there's a part in the
Steve,
movie where she
it's a
says,
bad boy.
where she says to him like, not all bad.
Hmm.
And I think one of the officers, and it might have been him, at some point talking to Terry, saying like, we're not all like that. We're not all
Hmm.
bad. But
Yeah,
again, when you opened the movie, like you were a part of this
you
shit.
were a part of it.
So
So like even good officers get roped into the BS. You know what I'm
no,
saying? It just
no.
kind
That's what
of
I'm saying. No, he's a bad officer. He just so happened to do his. I don't even want to say he just happened to do something good, because doing good was his job,
Yeah,
and he was neglecting it. He
yeah,
decided that he
to finally do
what
his job.
because what it was they were going to cross a line that he wasn't comfortable with,
Yeah,
and that's all it was. They could have kept taking his money, beating the shit out of him, and doing the corrupt shit that they were doing. They could have kept fucking with his friends, but they were going to cross a line, and that's one thing he didn't want to happen. He didn't want that.
man,
He
all
didn't
the
want to cross
line.
that line.
Only reason why I took issue with that, and granted, they did set up like that they did set up something that made sense as to why one of the officers ended up being good. I don't want to spoil anything, but like
Stop saying being good.
I'm sorry, doing their jobs. The officer decided to actually do their job. But there was a conversation between Terry and Summer where Terry is realizing like you know she got somebody that's on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
So like it made sense that okay, one of the officers in the precinct is a little bit of a double agent. So it made sense that eventually as the film progressed that somebody was going to turn. My problem is with your point of um what I'm saying, doing, not willing to cross certain lines is the lines that had been crossed at that point
Was already
were already crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like the lines you've already crossed are already like well beyond. Like you're already in the
because
deep end, bro.
I think they said that line got crossed at the courthouse.
Man, like
But they
you
didn't
already in the deep end,
they
bro.
didn't intentionally do it, but it got crossed at the courthouse. And when you watch the movie, you're gonna watch this scene and you're gonna say, "What the fuck is he talking about?" And then you're going to see when I say he didn't want to cross a line, and then you're going to start thinking back through the dialogue. You're like, "Oh shit, they did say that."
Mhm.
So, and
It's like,
again,
bro,
it's
the lines have already been crossed.
if we threw spoilers in there, like it would make more sense. But again, like I said, they crossed multiple lines. But
Like
that one, and again,
they did so much foul shit in this movie.
it was one officer that didn't want to cross that line, and the rest of them probably didn't want to cross it either. But
They
again,
didn't.
they
You'll even
didn't
notice
do shit. They
there was
didn't
like a
give.
back dialogue when the final climactic scene. We know what happens with the white girl in that final scene. You can hear one of the officers in the background as there's one officer in the precinct that's like the most unhinged and messed up person you could ever imagine. So like as he's describing what he just did, you hear one of the officers in the background going, "Dude, that's fucked." You know what I'm saying? So like other officers were clearly not comfortable with what was going on either. But my problem is kind of like we were saying, y'all have already crossed just about every bad line you can, you know what I'm saying, up to this point. So like why is it now at this point you're starting to get this moral compass? Is it just because the script told you to? Or do you actually feel like doing your job now? It just to me it felt a little sudden, only because granted, the one officer doing what he did made sense. It was everything else that happened at the end where I was like, what are we how did y'all get here based on what I just watched y'all do for 2 hours? You know what I'm saying? That was my only thing. But I felt like script wise overall, like there's obviously gonna be nitpick things and things you can poke holes at.
Yeah.
But overall I felt like this film was executed very well. I felt like, the performances from at least the main leads were very good. Aaron Pierce plays the silent badass type very well. He was very convincing. His character was intimidating. He held to his moral code very well. The action scenes, the fight scenes felt very realistic and very grounded. Nothing was really over the top or, cartoonish. Um, Summer McBride, Anna Sophia Robb's character, I thought her story took a lot of turns that I wasn't expecting it to take. Her character became a lot more interesting than I was expecting her to.
So much. It came straight out of left field because
left field.
And I'm not gonna go back into the story, but at the beginning of the story, it feels like they're trying to put her in the white savior role.
Yeah.
And like you said, like it starts taking those turns, and you're like, shit, she is not the savior that we thought was going to be.
Not at all. Quite the opposite. Quite the opposite.
So
I just thought the dynamic between Terry and Summer's characters, like that was very strong. Like their chemistry was very good. And then the officers themselves, like they felt like pieces of shit. Like the film's goal was, I feel like the film's goal was a few things, but two of the main things this film's goal was to highlight the extent to which police officers can abuse their power and kind of shine light on that. So people understand, like, no, like they really can completely violate you if they really want to. And there's legal loopholes they can go through
Yeah.
to do that and to where you really can't do anything about it. That, and also like while showcasing that level of corruption, goal number two is just make you hate these officers as much as humanly possible from an audience perspective,
That's
which
why I thought somebody was gonna die.
they accomplished
At
that
least
in the
one
first
person.
10 minutes. Yeah, they accomplished that in like the first 30 seconds. Like you don't have to wait long for you to really go like, oh, okay, these officers are bad people.
I think I love, like you said, that you mentioned the Summer and Terry's relationship, and it was, oh, sorry. We already talked earlier, so you kind of, it's weird, man, because it's something of, it's not really, it's not, there's no playful flirting.
It's nothing. No tension.
It's not like they're best friends. It's not like they're brothers and sisters. You know what? I'm gonna get into this with you afterwards. I feel like we may have to start doing something where we do an attachment where we throw some spoilers in after we do a spoiler-free review.
No,
but,
absolutely. I just because this has been on Netflix for not that long, I was like, gotta give.
But they definitely had they had a relationship, and it felt real because again, I just met you, so we're not going to be best friends.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do everything in my will to help you. I don't expect you to do everything in your power to help me.
Yeah,
so that felt, and when I say I love their relationship about it, because that felt real. It was two people trying to achieve a goal. Goal one, and then goal two.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a again, like I said, I love the movie. I love most of the shots in there. I love most of the shots within the movie. One thing we talked about how smart he was, so there was a few parts in the movie where he was able to use misdirection successfully.
Yes.
To help himself, but yeah, man, they did a great. Like I said, I love the shots, especially with those fight scenes. They didn't do a lot of cuts, so I can only imagine that he did most of those fight scenes, and he did some type of he spent some months with doing different types of training to learn different jiu-jitsu McMap techniques. And that's just him, and I hate when movies do that where you got the main character is this fucking badass, and every time he throws a punch it cuts away from him and comes back. So I love those one shots. Like I said, the opening shot was a great one. The only thing like I said, my only real gripes with it, with the film, was the real gripes, because I already talked about how he ain't not one person could have won, and it was he killed Rambo. He killed one person in the movie. He killed two people in the books.
Okay.
So I didn't even know there was books until I just looked that up.
I was about to say, you taught me something right now.
So that it's probably going to be the last shot, because again, like I said, there's like I said, it's very fast paced, and then there's a climax. It drops back down. It goes into that second act, and it waits, and then it gets into that third act, and it picks up, and then it drops down and just stops. Like I said, there's no, they may have said some things like, we plan on doing this, we plan on doing that, but I don't think the ending was as fleshed out as it could have been. Or maybe they were just short on time and didn't add much into it, and they felt like, well, from what we've shown you, you get what's going to happen, and that's fine to do. It's just a personal thing for me that I didn't really enjoy. Outside of that, it was a good movie. I liked it. It was a great movie. I will watch it again.
Still probably no ranking.
No ranking. Okay. I would have to watch it maybe one more time. Because again, you've seen I had Rambo, I said, why was the chief an asshole? And him being British. Him being British is gonna bring the rating down. All right, I'm just be honest.
Just off rip, that's gonna bring the rating down.
Just off rip. If I gave it a 10, it'd be fucking 8. Because
Okay.
and again, there's
Two
so
whole
many
points is crazy.
there's so many capable black actors out
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
that honestly could have played that role.
Yeah.
And and you know how the internet is, it's full of rumors. They said that one person said he would make a good one, and then somebody else said, "Oh, he's in talks with DC to play Jon Stewart." So now I did
Aaron Pierce. Yes.
I did say that. I said, you know what? I wouldn't mind him playing Aaron Pierce.
Yeah, that might be perfect casting. I ain't gonna lie.
I wouldn't mind him playing Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart again is his roots are historically black.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now you play a fucker and that's my biggest issue with him is the disrespect black Americans get from the rest of the world, be it white, black, blue, brown, green, whatever. And not say that Aaron Pierce does it, you know, I'm just saying that this happens. It's a lot that goes into playing when you have these type of subjects in movies that goes into playing that. Like there's a history of it.
Yeah.
You know, you don't now does he know the history of police corruption in England? You know, there is a history of it. You know, he may have experienced it, but it's not the same.
Yeah, it's
not nearly the same as it is here, and that's a big thing to me. And again, maybe if this was the only actor, you know, it was maybe if it happened sporadically, but you see this all the time.
It happens all the time.
What's is it Daniel Kaluuya?
Daniel Kaluuya.
Love him as an actor.
Yeah.
But John Boyega.
Damson Idris. We can keep going.
Damson, fucking Stringer Bell, fucking Idris Elba. You know, so it's so many roles that they put out there that people could have had. And even when you're thinking about Snowfall, man, with Damson Idris, or however you say his name.
Damson Idris. Yeah.
Damson Idris. There were other actors. I think
he was really the only British actor in that show.
No, he was.
Yeah, I was about to say.
But I'm saying, I think there were other actors even in that show that could have played Franklin. He delivered.
It's hard to see that now.
It's hard to see it now.
With him,
but you know, he. I don't want to take anything away from him because he played a motherfucker, man. He delivered some great fucking lines, and it was amazing. But like I said, and it works for him because again, that's kind of how they spoke then.
Yeah.
In LA, they spoke with a slower drawl, and I'm getting all off topic. I'm sorry, squirrel. Fucking I like the movie, man. I don't have a if I gave it a ranking, man. Even without him being British, I would probably give it somewhere around an 8.
Okay, you're a little higher than me.
I don't think I want to say 7, but I think I'm gonna stick with 8. Because again, I like the movie. It's not a lot that I could find wrong with it. Like you said before, and again, I can pick apart some shit. So I'm gonna have to watch it again, and I may have another rating. Again, we already know from the past episodes that my ratings it might change from the beginning of it when we start to the end of it. So for right now, I'll give it an 8. Like I said, it's a lot that I can nitpick about, but the way that it was shot, I really enjoyed those scenes. And honestly, when that "Hey Chief, make some distance," that was probably one of my favorite scenes in a movie I've seen in a minute.
Hey Chief, back away from him.
Because it was the fact that, you know, he started walking back, and every step he made with him without making eye contact. He pulled out his gun and he stopped them without making eye contact. It was like it was a good fucking scene.
Yeah, that was pure intimidation.
So I'm gonna give it and again, he don't even know what they know. Yeah. He don't know that they know who he is. This is just him being him.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like he yelled out, "Chief, He was a Marine, McMap, Marine Corps Martial Arts Program instructor, Jiu-Jitsu. He's training the entire 6 Marines. You know,
Yeah, like he
he
was just
said
like, "Hey, Chief, back away from that boy.
he said
Back up from him."
make some distance. And
Yeah,
again, make some distance in itself is a warning because again, the chief said it. He said, I've been in some fist fights. Now he said this later on after this
yeah,
happened, but again, you tell somebody to make hey, put some distance between y'all, that
yeah,
motherfucker knows something, you know. So it
yeah.
could have been that, you know, where he heard and picked up on it because he
Mhm.
seen them. He said, "Hey, here come your people," while he's still making
Here come
eye
your
contact.
people. Yeah, yeah,
So you know, I enjoyed it, man. Like I said, it was. I love that the silly moments didn't overshadow. You know, they throw
yeah.
silly moments and serious things, and it just feels out of place. So that's what I will say. Everything felt in place in this movie. And
Mhm.
again, even with him not harming anybody, you know, because again, he wanted a after, you know, and he was methodical. He's thinking about these things, and he says it at one point in the movie. You know, after I do this, this, and this, I'll turn myself in. I don't care.
Yeah,
You know, so honestly, they could have won, but again, like we said, that was that ego and that pride going to
their
work, man.
arrogance. Yeah,
Um, I'm gonna stick at an 8, man. Like I said, I loved it. My only big issue was that last scene and how it ended. I think it ended kind of prematurely. We could have had him. I don't even want to say what it was, but I think there could have been more, and
yeah.
it's a number of reasons why they could have ended it that way. I don't know. We'll have to wait till some more interviews come out when they're talking to directors, writers, and the director was one of the writers, main writer at least, and the actors, and see, or maybe when they finally decide to release some maybe behind the scenes footage to these things, we'll
I would
see it.
love to see that actually, like the making of
Um,
this, just like kind of what their thought process was with some of the action scenes and the shots, because there was a lot of attention to detail in this film. It's directed by Jeremy Saulnier. Some of y'all might know him from Green Room, which I've heard a lot of good things about, starring Patrick Stewart, about neo Nazis. It's been a film that's been on my watch list for some years now. It came out in 2015. Blue Ruin, which I also haven't seen. So I have to get familiar with a little bit more of this director's work because this was a very, very solid project.
yeah,
I'm a little
and
lower than
again,
you.
he wrote it too, so
Yeah, and yep, he's the main writer
writer
on it as
director,
well. So
so
this is his full blown project. This is his baby. I'm gonna go a little lower on you in the rankings. I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. Still really enjoyed it. Still really like this movie. I think that there's a lot of tropes that are taken from other films. There's a lot of inspiration from Rambo, Jack Reacher
shit,
type characters. Like
yeah.
he's kind of in that mold, just less psychotic than those characters are.
Because Jack
He's a,
Reacher would have killed him.
yeah, Jack Reacher
Jack
would have killed
Reacher
everybody. Jack Reacher would
would
have killed
Jack Reacher would
everybody
have
for
killed him.
sure.
I didn't even
Yeah,
think about Jack Reacher. Jack Reacher would
Jack
have killed
Reacher
him.
would have gave two fuck. Yeah, all
They
them
would have
cops
been
would have
done.
been dead. All them, if they was
They would
messing
have
with
been
Jack Reacher,
done, and there would have been no evidence that he did it.
yeah, like they would have been cooked. Yeah, it would have been. It wouldn't have been no negotiating, trying to get the money back. He would have walked in there, popped everybody, took his money, and would have been gone for y'all to realize what happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So he's like those characters, but just more toned down. But he has the same like stoic, silent badass type of
Yeah.
temperament, one man army type of deal. Um, so I think that the performances were well given what the characters had to work with. I thought even though the police officers were very one note pieces of shit, they weren't really allowed to develop outside of that. They did that very well. They did that to a T. The progression we got with Summer as a character was more than what I thought we were going to get, and actually made me connect with her character a lot more
Yeah.
and feel for her character
Because
a
what
lot
the
more.
fuck? Again, what the
Man,
fuck?
I'm like, girl, you going through it. She was going through it, man. Like I really felt for her character as you start to learn more about her backstory and what she was going through. I thought there was a lot in terms of the script in this film that was done very well. There was a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of attention to detail in this film in terms of character actions, in terms of what the characters do and how they operate. The writing in this film was very well done. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7.5. Man, Rebel Ridge was a very pleasant surprise for me. I remember seeing this trailer and not really knowing what to expect when I first watched the trailer. I was just kind of like, okay, another police brutality one man army movie. We'll see what happens here. Like I just didn't know what to expect from it, and it gave me a lot more than I was anticipating, honestly. And like I said, I thought that the attention to detail in a lot of different aspects in this film was very high quality, and I think they did a very good job putting this together. So I'm settling in at a 7.5.
You know what though? I will say I'm not gonna change it from an 8. I'm gonna keep it for an 8 for
Okay.
right now. I will say because that's what I didn't talk about going into it. When I seen that first initial trailer, man, I'm like, yo, well, the first initial trailer, I said the same thing you said. I said another one, you
Yeah, I was
know,
like, how many police
you know,
brutality movies we gonna get,
and
y'all?
then
Like,
I'm like, it sounds like Rambo. Didn't even think about
yeah,
Jack Reacher, but then because Jack Reacher is an investigator, he's
yeah,
investigating this shit,
yeah,
but then the second trailer came out or the third trailer, I'm like, okay, this looks good. This might
yeah,
be something.
yeah.
Um, and I started seeing some reviews. I'm like, but again, we don't listen to reviews because everybody has different tastes.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's opinion is different. Everybody likes different things. And, I generally like to go with the public's opinion. But again, when you look at people's fan castings and stories they think would happen, they're terrible ideas. So,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, I I I came in on it, with the expectations that it was going to be good. I wanted it to be good.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Now it could have been better, but I would have liked a little bit of that gore in there off a few of these motherfuckers because they deserved it. At
yeah.
least
But
listen, at least two of them motherfuckers
it
deserve to
needed to
die.
go. Yes,
You know,
two of them for sure deserve to go,
for sure.
unquestionably. Two
You
of them
know,
officers are irredeemable. There's nothing. No, no, they ain't interested in doing their job at all. Just they're irredeemable. They done
yeah.
jumped out the window. They're past the point of no return. They have crossed the line. It's over. There's
Hmm.
no saving them. So I'm with you. Two of them irredeemable characters for sure.
Yeah.
But I definitely like the fact that they made it a little diverse within the police department. Like not everyone was just a complete just complete piece of shit. Like there
Yeah,
was
some of them
some,
was like half pieces of shit.
yeah, like some of them were like, I'm just going along because this is the program, but like I'm not necessarily 100% comfortable with what we're doing. You know what
But
I'm
even
saying?
with that, they had some officers where they wouldn't tell them what they didn't know what was going on.
Yeah,
So they get a call, hey, we got a suspect doing this, this, and this, and that's
they
all
just
they
think
knew.
this.
They
That's all they
so
know. Yeah,
yeah, so it wasn't. I don't want to say it was the whole department, but it makes it look like the whole department when the entire department shows up,
yeah.
and like I said, only one person steps up to do their
To
job.
say like, hey, we probably shouldn't be doing this.
You
You know what I'm
tripping, my
saying?
brother?
You feel me?
But
But no, it was very very well done film in my opinion. Like I said,
yeah,
sticking at the 7.5. Like the action was very well done, felt very realistic, very grounded. Aaron Pierce's performance was really good. The writing was very good. The level of corruption that we were supposed to feel as an audience member watching these officers, it felt very apparent. You felt the hopelessness along with Aaron Pierce's character. Like as an audience member, you kind of rolled the wave of emotions with him.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
as he was going through the different stages of dealing with these officers, like you felt what he was feeling. They did a very very good
hundred
job to me
percent.
of conveying, like what he was going through. I thought that was a very well done throughout the whole thing. So there you have it, guys. That is our review of Rebel Ridge. Let us know you all's thoughts. Jump in the comments. Let us know what you thought. This film hasn't been out that long. It was released on early in September, I think September 5th or 6th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but
So yeah,
maybe not even
around
that
that
long. I
time.
want to say I watched it last week or this
Yeah,
weekend. So maybe, honestly, maybe that past Friday. So if that was either way, yeah,
yeah.
it ain't been out long.
Yeah, it hasn't been out long at all. No, not at all. And I feel like it's picking up a lot of traction. I'm seeing a lot of chatter and people talking
Yeah,
about this
yeah,
film.
yeah, yeah.
So hoping it gets some of the well deserved recognition because it's very well done and it kind of definitely one of the pleasant surprises for me of 2024 as we kind of close out into the
Yeah.
final 3 months of the year. So like I said. Jump in the comments. Let us know you all's thoughts. Please always remember to like and subscribe. We appreciate everyone's support on this channel. Until next time, this is The Real Fanatics. Peace. And it just says stopping.